In the name of Allah, the Merciful, the Beneficent, now with today's main headlines. Grand Ayatollah Shirazi remarks on loans given by banks under Sharia-based titles. UK Interior Minister sacked following pro-Palestinian protest comments. Anti-Muslim incidents skyrocket across Canada, Muslim group says. China reportedly uses smart cameras to identify fasting students in Muslim majority province. Assalamu alaikum dear viewers, this is Aruj Fatma Malik and you're watching Shia Waves live from London only on Imam Hussein TV 3. The daily scholarly meeting of Grand Ayatollah Sayyid Sadiq al-Husseini al-Shirazi was held on Sunday the 27th of Rabi al-Thani. In this session, like the previous meetings, the Supreme Religious Authority answered the questions of the attendees about various jurisprudential issues in relation to loans given to customers at varying interest rates. The Marja said if such loans are based on elements of usury, they are definitely not permissible. Let's watch the statements of Grand Ayatollah Shirazi together.
حالا تو این بحث رو من همکاری کردم با بانک مرکزی ایشون سوالی کردم گیر توی عقود همینجوری که چون اونا سعی میکنن در قالب عقود بیارن
بله
کارم کردن ولی عملا تو اجرا مشکل دارن. اینه که شما فرمودید مهم نیست. اینا میگفتن این کارمند بانک موظفه به این آقایی که میگه من وام میخوام بگه آقا من مثلا میتونم به جاله بدم، میتونی بدی بیاری یه کاری، من میتونم به تو فروش اقساطی بدم. اما در اجراات حضرت علی فرمودید مهم نیست. ما خیلی گیر داشتیم که این موضوع که افرادی تو بانک مستقر بشن به این آقا بگه آقا این وامی که میدونی چیه؟ تو جاله یعنی این بگی فلان جای خونه رو تعمیر کنی در قبالش پول رو اینجوری جمع میگه اینا رو ولش کن، کجا رو امضا کنم؟ گیرم اون حرمته رو این بود.
بله نه ببینید اگر علا کل صورت قبول داره ولو اگه بهش بگن چیه تو امضا کردی میگه نمیدونم. همین این جهت اشکال نداره مگر اینکه اون اصل اشکال داشته باشه. اگه اصل اشکال نداره نه، این که نمیدونه اما قبول داره. مثل که به یک کسی گفت برو یه دختر عثمان عقد کن، اینم رفت یه دختر عثمان عقد، اصلا نمیدونه این دختر چند ساله است، باکره است، باکره چیه، اونم مطلق گفته عقد صحیحه. یعنی ببینید اگر قبول کرد به کل صور و اما این صورت رو بالخصوص نمیدونه اشکال.
The British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak terminated the controversial Interior Minister Suella Braverman on Monday. The dismissal came as part of changes Sunak is making to his team ahead of the expected general election next year, which included the appointment of James Cleverly as Interior Minister to replace Suella Braverman and the appointment of former Prime Minister David Cameron as Foreign Secretary. Sunak has been under increasing pressure to terminate Braverman after she was accused by critics of inciting tensions during weeks of pro-Palestinian demonstrations and counter-protests in the UK. A week ago, the minister wrote a controversial article in which she accused the police of bias. A former advisor to the British government attacked Interior Minister Suella Braverman over anti-Muslim rhetoric, especially during the current war in Gaza, pointing out that she is causing division in the British society. In his nearly 30 years as co-founder and then president of the Canadian Muslim Forum, Samir Majzoub said he has never seen the level of anti-Islamic hate crimes and intimidation reported since October the 7th. The cases of intimidation included drivers spitting at people from car windows and individuals being pushed or verbally abused. Incidents are being reported across Canada and Montreal. Police have tallied a growing number of hate-related crimes against both Islamic and Jewish targets in the last month. The National Council of Canadian Muslims has recorded a 1,300% increase in the number of hate incidents reported since October the 7th. The Council has received an average of 8 complaints a day across Canada. To discuss this further, we have Abu Talib Mohammed, who is a member of Muslims for Peace. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining us. In your opinion, what are the root causes of the recent sweeping trend of Islamophobic attacks across the world?
So there's always been an underlying Islamophobic sentiment amongst some Canadians, especially those who live outside of major metropolitans. It was actually discovered in a recent survey that was taken that 1 in 4 Canadians actually do not trust Muslims at all. That's quite troubling. Many of these people rarely see Muslims in person. And with the recent situation unfolding in the Middle East, the Western media has painted a very negative image of our communities, especially in the context of protests and demonstrations. Due to this messaging, the sentiment has escalated to hate, and this has resulted in a huge rise in attacks on our community members and our mosques recently.
Right. So, and what do you think are some proper ways that the Muslim community can respond to these incidents at an individual and at a global level?
Yeah, so I think the key is to establish a relationship with our local politicians and law enforcement to protect ourselves first. We need to make it known that our communities are under threat, and we should have a police presence at all of our events and at our mosques. Once we've established these relationships, we need to have an organized and documented approach to show our value to local politicians. This can be in the form of votes, donations, volunteering, just so in the future, if we need their support again, they know that we've supported them, so that they'll be a lot more receptive to providing support before we even ask for it in many cases.
Thank you so much. Thank you for joining us today on Shia Waves.
Thank you.
Now let us remind our viewers of today's main headlines. Grand Ayatollah Shirazi remarks on loans given by banks under Sharia-based titles. The UK Interior Minister has been sacked following pro-Palestinian protest comments. Anti-Muslim incidents skyrocket across Canada, Muslim group says. Also tonight, EU says around 100 civilians are reportedly killed in Burkina Faso village massacre. Now, the US-based research group IPVM has accused Chinese video surveillance equipment company Hikvision of engaging with a contract to develop technology that can identify Muslim students that are fasting during Ramadan based on their dining records. In addition to knowing if a student is fasting, the Minjiang University Smart Campus project tracks and provides school management with extensive information on a person's daily habits and life, according to the government tender documents. This includes details on book boarding, holiday destinations, passport use, student club activities, information about family members, and where individuals stand on their application for membership to the Chinese Communist Party. And now we continue with some short news. 2 soldiers were martyred while 1 terrorist was killed in an exchange of fire between security forces and militants in North Waziristan district of Pakistan. Terrorist activities have been on the rise in Pakistan. Last week, a Pakistani army officer and 3 soldiers were killed in an intelligence-based operation. On November 13th, 17 security personnel were martyred in separate incidents of ambush, bomb blasts, and security operations. The Holy Karbala-based Misbah al-Hussein Foundation for Relief and Development, one of the centres affiliated to Grand Ayatollah Sayyid Sadiq al-Husseini al-Shirazi, has continued holding its regular sessions to discuss its project, Holy Karbala Vision 2030, 50 million pilgrims during Arbaeen pilgrimage. Local officials and experts from various government departments have congratulated Misbah al-Hussein Foundation on its humanitarian and service project. According to the director of the foundation, the attendees discussed in the recent session a number of important issues, especially the health and municipal sectors, due to the significance during massive gatherings. Hugh Muslim poet, formerly a vocal critic of Beijing's treatment of Uyghurs and Hugh Muslims, has been severely beaten by an unidentified man after laying low for nearly 3 years. The attack came nearly 3 years after he was held in criminal detention by police in January 2020 for picking quarrels and stirring up trouble after he made posts on Twitter criticising China's treatment of Muslims in Xinjiang. The government is to decide whether or not children between 12 to 18 months will get vaccinated against chickenpox as advised. Till date, majority of parents go private and pay up to £200 to protect their children against this virus, which causes red itchy spots all over the body. Chickenpox cases decreased during the COVID pandemic due to restrictions on socialising, meaning there is currently a larger pool of children than usual who are unprotected against the highly contagious virus. The biggest mosque in Cyprus, designed to hold up to 10,000 people, will open in the north next year on the Near East University campus. A number of presidents from Muslim countries have been invited for the opening of the spectacular mosque, which will have 62 domes and 6 minarets. The mosque will feature 104 stained glass windows and handmade decorations on the dome fashioned by artists from Cyprus and Uzbekistan. Unidentified assailants recently attacked the village of Zango in Burkina Faso's northern centre-north region, killing up to 100 residents and setting property on fire. Most of the victims were children and elderly. In early April, authorities, however, blamed terrorists for killing of at least 44 people in separate attacks on villages in northern Burkina Faso. Later that month, 136 others, including babies, were killed in a similar onslaught on a village in the same region by armed men in military uniform. Authorities have condemned the attack and opened an investigation. A staggering 347 million children under 18 are exposed to high or extremely high water scarcity in South Asia, the highest number among all regions in the world. The UN Children's Agency said in a report on Monday that the report also cites poor water quality, lack of water and mismanagement such as overpumping of aquifers, while climate change decreases the amount of water replenishing them. Last year, 45 million children lacked access to basic drinking water services in South Asia, more than any other region, by UNICEF said. But UNICEF has said services were expanding rapidly, with that number slated to be halved by 2030. We have reached the end of today's news. Let's take a look back at today's main headlines. Grand Ayatollah Shirazi remarks on loans given by banks under Sharia-based titles. The UK's Interior Minister has been sacked following pro-Palestinian protest comments. Anti-Muslim incidents skyrocketed across Canada, Muslim group says. China has been reportedly using smart cameras to identify fasting students in Muslim majority province. EU says around 100 civilians reportedly killed in Burkina Faso village massacre. Water scarcity affects nearly 350 million children in South Asia, UN have said. You can view the latest news on send news of your city or country to be published on our news agency. Contact us on the numbers at the bottom of your screen. Thank you all for watching. We pray to Allah the Almighty to hasten the reappearance of the Master of our time. Wassalamu alaikum.
I am the sun, the star at the center of your universe. I am a wondrous threat made of hydrogen and helium.